talked to him about this, and he didn't commit then either, but he gave sort of signs that he was sympathetic. Signs, you know, little signals that you're sympathetic ain't good enough. No way. And so that's what happened again today. So we must hold not only Bedford, but Secretary Duffy accountable. The changes that Bedford has pushed for in his career are an insult to the memories we lost, to those we lost that day in Buffalo, that cold night in Buffalo. Let me be clear. What happened on Flight 3407 should never happen again. That's what a rule does. That's what a rule has been successful in doing. Weakening the rule, reducing the number of hours pilots train in the air is dangerous and will inevitably cost lives. If Duffy, Trump, or these folks think we're going away, don't bet on that. We're going to be in your face day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, to see that these rules are kept. The American public doesn't want pilots with less training. People do not want the FAA to roll the dice on aviation safety. People don't want every time they get on an airplane to wonder if the pilot has the best of training. Because every time you go on a plane, you are putting your life in their hands. We fought to get these reforms. We're fighting to keep these reforms. And just as we were indomitable about fighting for these reforms and getting them, we're going to be just as indomitable making sure they are not diluted in any way. So I thank you all, love you, respect you. Think of the buttons you wear, not just when you're wearing them, but when I think of you. Thank you. See you in a little while. Thank you, everybody. Now we have 3 speakers. We have Karen Eckert, who knows this tragedy in 2 ways. We have Marilyn Kausner. The Kausners have been down here many times. And, you know, Tim Kennedy has taken up the mantle of helping and being a great partner on this issue. And I very much appreciate him. We'll hear from him as well. And they gave me a little sign. So I'm going to hold it up, right with all of you. Okay? Everyone got it? I'll wait for you. Okay, thank you, everybody. See you in a little while. Thank you. Sorry I have to go. My apologies to the speakers.
Not at all.
No.
Leader Schumer?
My name is Karen Eckert, and I lost my sister, Beverly Eckert. My sister, Susan Burke, is here. Beverly was also her sister. And Beverly was sadly a 9/11 widow also. She lost her husband in the collapse of Tower 2 at the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001. I wanted to thank Senator Schumer, but he's gone, so I want to thank him for all the work he did. He's been steadfast for 16 years working with us. Late night hours we've been in his office. He has worked so strongly for us to make sure that the safety of the American flying public was there, and it's maintained over all these 16 years. And I want to thank him for getting a meeting for us with Secretary Duffy. It's our first meeting with Secretary Duffy. We asked for the meeting because we had grave concerns about Mr. Bryan Bedford, who is the nominee to head up the FAA. What we heard in the hearing, as Senator Schumer said, was not encouraging at all. Today, when we met with Senator Duffy, he heard each of our voices, who we lost, the impact on our lives. What we heard from Secretary Duffy is his utmost commitment to safety. He said it was safety first. He also said, we told him we had concerns about Mr. Bedford. He said he will hold Mr. Bedford accountable on safety. He also said he had no plans right now to change anything. But because he said he listened to us and he said he would hold Mr. Bedford accountable, we will hold Mr. Duffy, or Secretary Duffy, accountable too, that he does hold the line on safety. He talked about data-driven. He hasn't seen any data-driven to make any changes. We sincerely hope that the opening of the dialogue today that we had with him is the start. It's up to him to finish and work and hold the line. I'm going to call Marilyn Kausner.
My name is Marilyn Kausner. I lost my daughter, Ellie. She was 24 years old, second-year law student, traveling home to Clarence to be her nephew's love luncheon date at his kindergarten banquet. I felt somewhat encouraged by our meeting with Secretary Duffy. My husband attended the confirmation hearings just about 10 days ago. He was very discouraged when he left those hearings because Bryan Bedford 4 times refused to confirm that he would uphold the 1,500-hour rule. So we talked quite a bit about the importance of 1,500 hours of experience of actual flying time and why that is more important than sitting behind a desk or simulator, although, you know, perhaps down the road someday, as Karen referenced, when there's proven data, they can look at that. But what Mr. Duffy, Secretary Duffy, promised us, the families of Flight 3407, is that he would not make any changes without our, not maybe our consent, but without speaking to us, calling us in for our, at least letting us know. And he also said that he is Bryan Bedford's boss and that Bryan Bedford cannot do anything without his permission, and that he has no plans to make any changes to the 1,500-hour rule. That said, it is 16 years later, and we are here again, and we will continue to vigilantly watch the FAA and Secretary Duffy to make sure that he does what he says, and be assured that the families of Flight 3407 will not go away. We have fought too hard, and we believe that our legislation has indeed saved so many lives. And I can tell you that the American flying public, because I've done a fair amount of flying, is nervous, and they don't have a stomach to see rules going backwards and pilots having less training, especially now. So I hope that Secretary Duffy is listening, and I hope that Bryan Bedford is listening, because nobody wants them as the watchdogs of the flying public to do anything but make the skies safer, not less safe.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Congressman Tim Kennedy. I represent Western New York, Buffalo Niagara region. I want to thank the speakers for their profound words and these extraordinary family members of the victims of Flight 3407 for your courage in keeping your family members' legacies alive and helping to change the laws here in Washington, D.C. that have undoubtedly saved lives in this country and across the global community, because it has had a ripple effect on how airlines see their safety. I'm truly honored to stand here with all of you today. You can feel your loved ones' spirits with us, can't you? I think this room shows the power of this group of family members and the importance of them coming together 21 strong today, 16 years after that tragic accident. I want to thank Senator Schumer for his leadership, not just on this issue, but on so many other issues as it pertains to airline safety, transportation safety, and his tireless work to ensure that no families have to endure the pain that you have all endured. These families have taken their grief and turned it into action, and they've delivered real results for our country and for the traveling public. Our skies are safer because of the advocacy of those individuals we stand here with today, and their refusal to take no for an answer. Every Western New Yorker remembers where they were on February 12, 2009, when Colgan Air Flight 3407 crashed due to pilot error just outside of Buffalo. It was one of the darkest days in our community's history. But from that tragedy came a powerful legacy. 16 years without a fatal commercial airline crash in the United States. It shows that the reforms that were put in place, especially the 1,500 hours of flight experience requirement, worked. Whether it's a small regional airliner or a 747, when you fly in the United States, your pilot has undergone rigorous and extensive training, so you have the confidence that you are going to make your destination safely. That is the promise of this group of families in service to their loved ones that they lost 16 years ago. Unfortunately, despite the proof of this policy working, we continue to see efforts to roll these safety regulations back. And now we're seeing the strongest indication of this yet, nominating an airline executive, Bryan Bedford, to head the FAA. It's outrageous. A man who's refused to commit to upholding the 1,500-hour rule. A man who's gone on record trying to get an exemption for his airline to allow only 750 hours. And a man who lied about having a commercial pilot's license. That's not someone you can trust with the safety of our skies and with the well-being of our loved ones. I'm grateful to stand alongside leaders like Senator Schumer to oppose this nomination and to shine a spotlight on these glaring conflicts posed by Mr. Bedford. And we're blessed to have advocates like the families of Flight 3407 who are fighting for the preservation of these safety rules with everything they have. And they're doing it in memory of their loved ones once again to ensure that they did not die in vain. The Senate must follow the lead of the families and Senator Schumer in rejecting this dangerous nominee. The safety of our skies should not be up for debate. Lives are depending on it. And while I appreciate the sentiment of Secretary Duffy, he didn't commit to rolling back those 1,500 hours, that rule. He didn't commit to holding Mr. Bedford's feet to the fire. That's why the Senate needs to reject this nominee. We should all be concerned about this administration's track record of not keeping their word, and we have to ensure that the safety of the skies is of utmost priority. Rejecting Mr. Bedford, finding a qualified nominee will ensure that that happens, and I stand with these families in their plight to keep their families, their loved ones' memories alive by the work that they do here. Thank you for all that you do, and I'm honored here to be with you. Thank you. We didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we're gonna.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Congressman. We've just started to build our relationship with you, and it's welcoming to see how you've embraced what we've shared in our accomplishments. We also have to, extend some appreciation to Congressman Langworthy, who's not with us today. He also stood tall with us at a time when the FAA reauthorization bill had some weakening to the pilot requirements inclusive. He stood tall and helped build a coalition to roll that back. So again, the Western New York delegation has been fantastic. Senator Gillibrand, who's also not here, she's also been fantastic. So it goes without saying we want to recognize those people. Listen, our meeting today was essentially the beginning, hopefully, of an open dialogue with the current administration. And there were clearly some welcoming signs, but the door has been left open, and that does give us reason to have pause. So I personally, along with all of these people, have been coming back here for 16 years, and the word I would use is trust. Who can we trust? We know we can trust Senator Schumer. Can we trust Secretary Duffy? He and I had a sidebar conversation, and we've agreed to try and build on that trust. We're going to be watching. We're going to be watching very carefully. We will hold him accountable as we expect him to hold Mr. Bedford, if he gets confirmed, accountable. And we certainly know we've got a Congressional leadership group who will also help us hold him accountable. Now is not the time to weaken safety. Now is the time to strengthen safety. Secretary Duffy told us his number one priority, because he did use the word safety a lot, his number one priority is air traffic control. And let's face it, that's a system that's been broken for a long time. In fact, that was part of the debate going on in Congress that held up actually getting our bill passed back in 2009. So it's not something new. This has been around for a long time, and it is time for Congress to act. Somebody's got to step forward and take the action. And I know we've had some conversation with the American airline families, with the terrible crash at DCA, and I know that they're pretty vigilant. They're going to move forward and work on that. So anyway, thank you. I wasn't really going to step forward. I know I talked too much, but at the end of the day, trust. That's an important word. We need to build a trusting relationship, and we need to hold people accountable.